Okay.
All right, so I'm still rolling.
All right. So in 5, 4, 3.
Welcome to Gov's TV and 91.9 Public Affairs. I'm Micah Terrell. Now, it's no secret, graduates of Austin Peay's Communications Department are always going on to greater heights. And here today is one of our recent graduates who's gone to greater heights himself, Christian Hodges. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
So you're class of 2014. Tell me what happened to you after you graduated.
Yeah, so upon graduating from the master's program here at Austin Peay, I stayed and worked for a couple months over the summer, and then I decided to move west to Los Angeles to, kind of see what the opportunities that I took advantage of here at the school could get me in the professional working field. So upon moving there, I started looking for work in production. I was heavily involved in our program here at Austin Peay, and I wanted to go and continue that work at a professional level. So upon arriving there, applied any and everywhere I could. It was a little rough in the beginning. Initially, I had trouble finding work, so I kind of just had to work a temp job just to, pay the bills and things of that nature. But after around 6 months or so, I got a call back from Fox Sports, and I started working there, and I was working on their studio shows. And I worked there for a year, and then in the meantime, I picked up some work as well, working in live productions, just as I did here, doing a lot of truck work and things like that. So just kind of took it from there.
So you had a big leap, it looks like. You started kind of small and then kind of, made to a bigger job.
Yeah, it was definitely a process. My first taste of production work in Los Angeles actually started with a internship with a ESPN affiliate down in Orange County. We covered a lot of sporting events for the Big West Conference, and they use the same system, replay system that we use here at Austin Peay, which is 3Play. So I got in working with them, and I was able to put that on my resume, and updated my LinkedIn profile and things like that. And I did a lot of networking, looking for more work, trying to get more involved. And I was able to make a connection, with someone, and that led to some more work with a larger production company. And then, slowly but surely, things just kind of took off from there. But yeah, it was very slow to start. Like I said, the first job, it was literally just an internship. Then eventually it was Fox, and then came more in-truck production work.
Yeah, no, that was like a big leap of faith, really, to kind of go out there without something to start with, right?
Yeah, exactly. It really was. Because, a lot of people, you want to look for a job before you move. Mm-hmm. That's, a thing, because that's that comfort level in that. If you can make that, of course, it's going to make it all easier. But when it comes to making the transition as large as the one I did, companies and really anyone, they feel less inclined to hire you when you don't live in the area that you're trying to work in. And that's for multiple reasons. One of the biggest reasons, they need people and they need them now. They can't afford to wait on someone. Second, if they're looking at applicants or they're looking to hire someone and you have the same credentials as your competitor, or someone else that's also looking for the same position, they're going to hire the person that lives there. Logistically, it just makes sense. Sure. So you have to be there to get work. It's hard to secure the work on beforehand. So when I moved without a job. I didn't have any employment or anything like that. I had perspectives, and I had the internship, but of course it was an internship, it wasn't a job. So that's the thing that I was relying on, So in the meantime, when I was doing the internship, I still had to work, another full-time job to pay the bills as I worked to become a full-time professional in my field.
Now, you mentioned a little bit about the 3Play and sort of your experience with that here. How did your coursework here at Austin Peay and maybe like work inside class and maybe outside class help you with getting where you are now?
Well, as I hope a lot of people know, that the program here, the studio, being a prime example, we have a lot of equipment, that gives the students a lot of opportunities to get hands-on experience, so it goes beyond theory. You're actually sitting in the seat, you're performing the task, and it's not much different than what you're going to experience in the real world. So that in and of itself gave me confidence in my abilities to do the same task at a higher level. A lot of the things that we have here in the studios at Austin Peay are similar things you're going to find in the studios at any other production company. Newtek's 3Play machine, I'm a replay operator professionally. That's my primary task in production world. Newtek's 3Play system, which we have, I want to say 3 of them here at Austin Peay. that's my primary piece of equipment that I operate on. And it's something that is widely used in the production world, professionally in Los Angeles and beyond. So it was a great help to me, you know. So I didn't have that learning curve, you know. I surpassed that. I already knew the basics of how to operate it. The only thing I needed to apply was how they particularly wanted me to do the task at hand. But the basic skills were already there because of the opportunities I took advantage of here at Austin Peay.
Yeah, those skills are good foundations for sure.
Yes.
Definitely. And you mentioned too how LinkedIn helped you also with your job search and everything. So, so LinkedIn was probably maybe a primary thing that you relied upon. And the website searches, maybe like Monster and
Glassdoor,
and
Indeed.
Did you rely on those at all, or were those kind of secondary?
Yeah, I relied on really any and every, you know, asset I had at my disposal. I mean, you know, anything I could. The most critical, like I said, was LinkedIn. I'm a big fan of LinkedIn because I updated my resume on there, and I applied 3Play, which was already on there, but then I was able to add the ESPN because of the internship. And then I got a call, or excuse me, not a call, but I had a connection request from a gentleman who owned his own production company. I looked into it, did some research on their company, and then I sent them a message. I thanked them for reaching out and connecting with me, and told them that I'm always looking for new opportunities. If they have anything, just let me know. And then immediately they got back to me, and within the week I was training with them doing Lakers D-League basketball games in Los Angeles, and then just kind of took off from there. So that was a big proponent. He told me, you know, a lot of people look at LinkedIn as ways to connect with other people in your field, but a lot of business people, they use LinkedIn as a search mechanism, and they'll type in keywords looking for people for particular tasks. So he reached out and found me, but then I had to initiate the secondary contact. So I am a big user of LinkedIn and Indeed and things like that. But realistically, in the production world, the way that you're gonna get and find work is going to be by your connections, the connections that you make. Filling out job applications, you know, still do that. I encourage you to do that, but you're gonna need to have someone that's gonna be able to go whisper in someone else's ear to move your application from the middle of the stack to the top. And that's what it really comes down to is who you know and what you know is really gonna get you the job that you're looking for.
Because you've probably found, as I know probably from working here too, with the media industry, it is really not such a big world after all. You know, you meet so-and-so, and they know so-and-so from Tennessee, or, you know, it's probably like that there too.
Yeah, it's very small. It's very small. I mean, Los Angeles is a large city, you know, made up of over 6 million people. And as far as the production world goes, everyone knows one another. It's almost in a sense a small town in that sense. We all know one another. I know a bevy of replay operators, directors, TDs, you know, audio individuals, graphics operators. We all know each other because we all work with one another one way or another. And we're all connected through the other people that we know within the industry. So it's a great thing, and it can be a bad thing for some people. On the positive aspect, as you work with more and more productions, you're going to be working with more and more different people. I rarely work with the exact same crew on a regular basis. That's not the norm. You know, even if it's the same production, I'm more likely going to be working with a couple people here and there who are going to be different. So that builds your network. So you're able to meet new people and expand on that and potentially get more work. For example, I was working with a gentleman with one of my clients, ESL. They do video game production work. He was a TD, and I got a phone call from someone, and they said that I was recommended by this gentleman, Brandon, who was a TD, and said that I was an EVS op and they were looking for an operator. I never met the person that I was talking to ever before, but the simple fact that someone that I work with on another production who trusted in my skills felt comfortable enough to pass my name along for potential work. You know, and that's how you generate new clients and more work, is through your connections like that. Now, on the negative end, if you're the type of person who, you know, doesn't work well with others, or if you just build a negative reputation for whatever reason, then that's going to get around quickly as well. And then people are going to be less inclined to hire you, you know, so you're going to be hindering yourself. So you got to be careful, you know, with how you act, how you conduct yourself, and make sure you're always putting out the best work possible, because, you know, eventually someone's going to hear about it, for better or for worse.
Exactly. Whatever it is, exactly. Now, how have you, you mentioned that you, of course, added to your LinkedIn profile. How has the work that you've worked upon so far, how has it helped, I guess, boost your portfolio and your skill set overall?
I'm sorry, could you say that one more time?
Sure. You mentioned how you gained some experience working for ESPN and for Fox, but, and how have you used that to boost your portfolio overall and your entire skill set that you have?
Okay, yeah, just by working for those different clients. So working studio at Fox is different than working in a truck, you know, for a ESPN production or Time Warner or anything like that. So I was able to take what I learned from working in one area and apply some of the things that worked there to the other and vice versa. So I was kind of, you know, take some of the smaller nuances. The basic concepts are fairly the same, but some of the smaller nuances, I was able to take that from one particular area of production to another and kind of help me, you know, encompass a greater overall skill to put out the best possible performance that I can on both sides, whether it be studio work or truck work. So they do, you know, I was able to kind of have them work hand in hand, and that you know, boosted the confidence level and everything as well. Confidence is needed because, you know, working in production is a high stress environment. So you have to be confident in the work that you're doing, and also trust. The people that are hiring you for anything, they're not going to hire you if they don't trust you. And then as far as studio work, you're often requested by producers and directors to work on particular shows. They're not going to ask you to come work on their shows if they don't trust you and you don't work well with the team that they already have. So that's another thing. You have to be able to adapt to your surroundings and adapt to the people that you're working with.
And you bring up a good point about production work in a truck is so much different than production with a studio. Talk about the different challenges and rewards that you've had in both sort of nuanced fields.
So in the studio, a lot of things, I don't know if people know, they're actually kind of they're recorded live to tape. So they're recorded before the broadcast actually airs. It may not be the whole show, just segments. So there's a margin of error there that you're afforded. So we're okay, you mess up, we'll do a second take. You know, or that take was good, we could run it, but let's see if we can do it better. You know, so it's a little more relaxed in that sense. There's not as much pressure because you're not directly live. Now there are going to be instances where you are, you know, live right then and there for production, but when you're in a truck and you're doing a production, that is all 100% live. Very rarely do I do any taped shows on trucks. It's all 100% live to, you know, the television network or the internet stream. So at that point in time, when the production starts rolling at 5 o'clock, everything we do is being potentially seen by, you know, thousands to millions of people. So you have to be on your P's and Q's, and the margin of error is 0. So you just, yeah, it's that added pressure. But I love that added pressure. I thrive in it. I look forward to it, you know, because your back's kind of against the ball a little bit, and you're forced with putting out the best possible product as you can, you know, under big restraints, if you will.
That's what I was going to ask you, if you feel like that pressure helps you perform better, because some people it does. It makes you more, like you said, gives you more confidence, more strength, maybe more just in more intense thought process maybe going on.
Yeah, and with that being said, don't think that, you know, errors do not happen. I've made plenty of errors, you know, on live broadcasts. You know, so you're going to make mistakes, 100%. You will make mistakes working in production. So that's nothing to, you know, get down about. But you have to know that once you make a mistake, you can't dwell on it. You got to move past it. Once it's done, it's done. You know, just don't do it again, you know, of course. But then you got to move on because the production's still rolling. There's no pause. I mean, no, we're still going 100%. You know, in the studio show, I was the tape operator. Playback, which is another aspect of replay. And I was in charge of playing all the highlights during our live broadcast. And we're live, you know, 8 o'clock around the entire U.S., Fox Sports Live. It's a show that no longer exists on Fox, excuse me. But when it did, that was the main show I was working on. So we're live on Fox Sports Live, and I'm rolling the highlight clips, and I'm loading everything up, and then I accidentally play the wrong highlight. So the announcers, they're saying, all right, let's go and look at this highlight. And they tell you exactly which highlight they're getting ready to talk about. You know, and they say, let's go look at the Bucks Bulls. and then I roll Cavs, Cavs playing the Warriors, So I messed up, but thankfully, the people that we work with, the talent, they're quick on their feet. They know mistakes happen, and they'll play with it a little bit. It's like, oh, I guess we're gonna look at Cavs Warriors instead, and then they'll make that transition. So you'll see that from time to time. And then there are a lot of mistakes that happen in production that people, a regular television audience doesn't recognize. We know it was a mistake in the truck, but someone watching at home may not. So it's different levels to the errors and different things that happen during production. And no production is ever perfect. That's just not a thing.
Yeah.
We strive for perfection, of course, but no production is actually perfect. But you don't want to make any grossly, huge mistakes. And when you get to working in the production field, you'll notice a lot of things. You'll watch TV a little bit differently. You'll look at something like, yeah, they definitely didn't mean to do that on purpose. So it changes your perspective.
It definitely does. Have you ever been in a situation with a live production where everything seemed to just go bad and go wrong, and you're just like having to try to patch it all back together?
Yes, I've been in those situations a few times. We were working a ESPN production, and our bug box that gives you the ticker with the score and the stats, the time on the clock, and all those aspects. It was just going in and out, just wouldn't work. And then my replay at the same time is dropping frames. So my in and my out points are adjusting themselves, or the switchers locking up, and it's just like a perfect storm. It happens a lot, where you have that perfect storm of errors on a production where, just nothing seems to be going right. It's definitely something that happens, and I mean, you work within, the confines of what you have, and you're trying to make the best out of a bad situation. But yeah, sometimes it's just gonna be like, you just kind of, it's one of those days you just kind of leave work and maybe have a drink.
Yeah.
And just like, all right,
forget about this.
Yeah. And it's just like, that was unfortunate, but it's over. And the great thing about working live production is once your show ends or your broadcast ends, it's over. So none of that really goes home with you. Of course, you're going to always look for ways to improve upon your job, and to make sure you put out the best product you can, for the next show and all following shows. But when you're done and you wrap and the production's over and you strike, that was in the books. There's no going back. There's no, nothing else is not really hanging over your head or anything like that. Assuming you didn't do anything too egregious. So that's nice. Just like when it's over, it's over.
Just relief.
Yeah,
We're done.
even when it's bad, it's just like, that was terrible, but it's over. Can't do anything about it now. Let's just make sure, to not have those same mistakes the next time.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, what lessons have you learned about yourself through those kinds of situations?
Patience, and also just kind of just being aware, make sure to ask a lot of questions, make sure you're focused, limit any unnecessary distractions. When I first started at Fox, things were precise when it comes to rolling a clip. I would roll a clip and say it was 4 frames too late. I rolled it on their cue, which is I'm not exaggerating at all. So there's 29 frames in a second, and they tell me to roll. I need to roll right then and there, and the TD needs to take it right then and there, and it needs to be timed out perfectly. They're telling me that a clip hits a freeze, and I'm like, I didn't see a freeze. So I got to go back and I rewind it and I'll look at it, and I literally have to go frame by frame, and that's the only way that I was able to tell initially, that I made that mistake. So attention to detail is one of the things you really have to focus on. And when it comes to those distractions, your phone or a book or a tablet, when it's time to work, nothing else within, outside of the confines of where you're working, your station, and where you're at, nothing else exists. You're focusing entirely on that show, on that broadcast. You're making sure you have all the elements and things that you need right then and there. And there's no, nothing else around you matters at that point in time. So being able to lock in and handle the task at time.
Yeah, it's very important, and it seems like that precision and focus would also be really important too when you're communicating with your TD, with your technical director, because there's so much that can go wrong if you say the wrong thing,
Yes.
as I've experienced in TV myself. So yeah.
Yeah, communication obviously is of great importance. I usually work directly with the producer. They'll sit next to me, and we go over replays together. They'll ask me what channel is the replay on. I have to be sure to tell them exactly, which output, which are usually named by colors, initially red and blue. All right, they need to know where that is, and they also are going to want to know. Sometimes they're going to want to know which camera angle I'm going to show them. So I have to tell them I got a replay on red from camera 3, and that'll give them the confidence. Like, okay, I like that shot, and then we'll roll it. If I tell them I got a replay on red, but I'm playing it on channel blue, and then they cut to my replay, they're looking at a still frame. And that's not good. That's not good for anybody involved. So you've got to make sure you communicate. You have to make sure that you communicate. You have to make sure that you communicate clearly, which I'm not doing at the moment.
It's okay.
Which I'm not doing. So it's very critical. Yes, you have to. You have to be on your P's and Q's.
Yeah, and I don't think people understand. I'm glad that we're talking about this because a lot of people probably like, oh, I watch the news or I watch my favorite sports show on Fox or ESPN. They don't realize behind the scenes all the people, the cast of thousands basically,
Yes.
that's doing all this work together, these cogs in the machine making it a masterpiece.
Yeah, it's a lot of moving parts for production behind the scenes. I mean, a lot of moving parts beyond what even the students who work production here even know. When it comes to your engineers who are shading cameras, who are making sure satellite feeds are going in and coming out correctly, setting up communication between us and the truck and whoever we're talking to at the studios, whether it be in Bristol or in Los Angeles, depending on what network we're working with. It's a lot of moving parts. And then, of course, on top of that, you have everyone on the production team, your graphics, your font coordinator, your bug box operator, your TD, your director, your producer, your replay, your audio, your A2 who's assisting the audio, your cameraman, your grips for the cameraman, your runners. I mean, it's a bevy of people who are involved in putting on that production, whether it's a 30-minute show or a 3.5-hour baseball game. There are so many moving parts, and they all have to work in unison. It's like a watch. All these parts have to do their own particular job at the exact same time and work in unison so you can have one clear image on one particular device for everyone to watch.
And what do you think has been maybe the most complicated production that you've ever been a part of?
Most complicated production I've been a part of.
Yeah, maybe with like multiple sources, satellite, live.
I did a boxing event for HBO. And it was broadcast in English, it was broadcast in Spanish, it was on HBO Latino, it was broadcast on the internet. I want to say it was also broadcast in English on an HBO affiliate, so there was 20 different trucks, various satellite trucks, multiple production trucks, multiple crews. It was a lot of moving pieces. It was at a casino out in the desert in California is where this went out. It was in Indio, to be precise. I actually have another one coming up here soon. But it was a lot of moving parts to get all that together. And also some of the venues that are set up, they're not set up year round for whatever you're producing. So the venues also have to be constructed, so they had to build the entire ring set up. They had to, build an arena around it, and then the camera operators and their, cameras and audio, and everything has to be ran around that within those confines. So I mean, it was a lot of moving parts. It was just very complicated, and then we're pulling footage and inputs of cameras, not just from our own camera operators, but also from other productions. So you're kind of working with that, and then you're hamstrung a little bit with that because our director can't talk directly to their camera operators. So we're taking their shots live, we can't talk to them. So we have to be careful because they could whip at any point in time. 'Cause we don't know what they're saying in their camera operators. The camera guy could be hot, they could be not, but we're taking the shot. And if the camera operator is not hot on their production, they decide to just whip the camera, then that's going to show bad on our production. So it was, when you're dealing with that, it's just it's a lot. So that's, imagine a production itself is already a lot of moving pieces, but then you add 2 other productions covering the exact same thing, but with their own trucks, it compounds that.
It definitely does, and you have such a excitement about your sports broadcasting that
Yes.
you've studied and everything. Have you ever thought about moving beyond sports into other arenas, maybe news or other types of
News,
broadcasting?
I'll never do news. For anyone who wants to do news, that's more power to you. I'm not a big fan of news in general.
Well, what about live entertainment?
Live entertainment, yes.
Yep.
And actually moving away from sports this year, I've gotten a lot, and I've done a lot of esports. So electronic sports, which is video games, that's a very large market, and it's growing very fast here in the U.S. So I've been fortunate enough to get involved with that as of late. Right now, that is one of my main clients. Their primary product that they put out is esports. It's they broadcast it on Twitch. The client's name is ESL. It's a large company with a international company, and they have a base in Los Angeles. And I've been doing a lot of work with them, and that's just a whole nother world. You will watch esports on Twitch, and you'll kind of think about it from a production standpoint. Maybe it's not like a basketball game or anything like that, but it's exactly like that. They're doing the exact same thing. They have announcers, they have analysts. Their crew is apprised of everything you will find in a production truck. They're not skipping any steps whatsoever. I mean, they go as far as sometimes even using a telestrator to break down certain aspects of a game. During a brief point, or a timeout, to just kind of go over and analyze what's happening. It is it's very complex, and I love it. And it's a whole other aspect to production, an entirely different aspect, and it's a very fun one. I've enjoyed it. I have a 2-weekend event coming up for BlizzCon, and I'm going to be working there on a big production with them. So it's that is very interesting. It's very interesting. Something people should really look into. Because it's growing. It's already big overseas, but it's growing so fast here in the U.S.
Video games are huge. I mean, you just think about people when they get excited about the newest PlayStation game or the newest Xbox or whatever. I mean, it's just insane how much people love it. So yeah, that's wonderful that you're part of another growing and burgeoning, media concept that's happening out there. Any other ones that you're kind of keeping an eye on there, maybe on the horizon?
Mainly it's just sports and esports at the moment. I would love to get into entertainment, just kind of dabble in that a little bit, because it's the same thing. They're doing full-blown productions, and you got to look at some of these productions. So say it's the Oscars. So before the Oscars, you have the pre-Oscars, where they're, everyone's walking on the red carpet. They're doing reports and they're doing packages. They're replaying. What I would do, I would replay maybe an old interview, or maybe Denzel came out 20 minutes ago, so I would clip that off, and then I would show it later on in the broadcast when we have time during a particular segment, and show it there. That's its own contained production, separate from the Oscars itself that go live. When they're doing the awards and everything from within the arena or the venue. And then after that, they'll do a post, which is sometimes a third production. So it's one event, but it's multiple productions for that one event to show everything that's going on within that time frame. So that would be something I would be interested in any aspect, whether it was the pre, during, or post.
And there's lots of interesting parts, like you said, the red carpet, you have all those kinds of things going on. Celebrities, you've probably been rubbing elbows with some, right? Have you what kind of experiences have you had with celebrities?
I've had pretty good experiences, nothing too crazy. From a work aspect, working in sports, I kind of keep it there with the celebrities. I was working a Madden broadcast at ESL, and they brought in Patrick Peterson, who's a cornerback for the Arizona Cardinals. So I was able to meet him, and he was in the production room with us. We chatted it up a little bit, and it was fun. It was nice. Then I worked EA Play during E3, that was downtown LA, and there were some celebrities that come out for those, because celebrities love video games. Celebrities love video games.
Yes.
Yeah, so they come out for those events there. And I was able to, I actually wasn't able to meet anyone during that event because I was too busy working, but you had, Snoop, The Game, Wiz Khalifa, and different people just kind of show up to those things. So it's fun. It's really fun.
I'd say we have celebrities in Nashville a lot, and here in Tennessee a lot too. So I guess it's celebrities just kind of wherever you are anyway in the media. But what's it like, culture-wise for you? You've been in Tennessee and then you moved to LA. What has the difference been like for you, just away from work but getting used to it?
Just like the lifestyle
The
itself.
lifestyle,
yeah. It's extremely different. I mean, it's really the opposite end of the spectrum. I knew that going in. That's one of the reasons I wanted to move, to a place as far as Los Angeles. It's a higher level of diversity as far as the people there, the landscape, the way of life. Everything is just drastically different. The pace is a lot faster. Just so much going on. The transition for me wasn't difficult. I enjoyed it. I embraced it. It was a lot to take in. You kind of got to segment it, but at the same time, you just got to jump in, jump in head first and just kind of take it what it is. And it's Los Angeles in particular, I feel like people, say a lot of negative things about it, about like the people that live there, as far as people being kind of stuck up and selfish and keeping to themselves. But I actually found a lot of people there to be very helpful for me as I've been, progressing through my field. From the simple aspect that Los Angeles in particular, only about generally 1 in 10 people are natives of Los Angeles. Everyone's moved there from somewhere else, whether it be a different country or a different state. So when you go and you're talking to people and you're making connections and you're looking for work here, or maybe just looking for a friend here, people are actually very inclined to help you in most cases because they know what it's like to be a new person in this big city in particular, because they've been there before and someone had to help them along the way. So they come and they help you, and they're just kind of paying it forward. So that was nice. That made the transition a lot easier. And I always encourage people to give thought to the saying, 6 degrees of separation. No matter where it is you want to move, whether it's Los Angeles, New York, Chicago, or anywhere else, chances are there's not even chances are 100% there's someone there that you're already connected with. You may have to hunt a little while to trace that connection and how you actually know this person, but there's someone there that you're already connected with. And generally, they'll probably be inclined, they'll be okay with doing whatever they can to help you get whatever it is that you need. And that's something that I definitely went through during my transition to Los Angeles.
And that was my next question, was anybody student-wise who might be like, hey, I want to do what you do, or maybe I just want to go out to LA to work. What would you suggest to them to do, obviously including the contacts and making contacts with people, but what other key things do you think they should remember?
Use your resources. First off, your most critical resource is what you have here at the university. Your professors, they've been teaching here for a while. They know students that have gone on and graduated and moved to different cities and different areas. Maybe they know a student that's, a former student that's living in the city that you want to move to. But you have to initiate that. You have to ask your professor that question. Do you know anyone that's living in those places? If you're in a fraternity, that's another network of people that are going to be inclined to help you out. If you're a member of a church, that's, the same concept as a fraternity. And then you have your family members. You ask your family members, do we have any family that lives in this area, lives in that area? So you use those to make those connections, to reach out to people. So for me, I'll talk to my professors here at Austin Peay. Mr. Barry Gresham, he was able to put me in contact with a former student that attended Austin Peay's graduate program years before myself. Student's name is Richie Schuler. And he put me in contact with Richie as I moved to LA, and Richie helped me set up my internship at ESPN3 down in Orange County. And through Richie and that internship, I met a gentleman there named Michael Zubach, who helped me get my job at Fox Sports. And then from working at Fox Sports, I was able to meet people who continue to work in the network and work the NFL network. And then I was able to get in there and I did a little bit of work with them, you know, so it's all about that. So from that one connection with Richie, I was able to start my entire network in Los Angeles. So yeah, so you really have to just put it out there. If there's something that you want, if there's someone that you want to move, then you have to initiate that contact and ask anyone that you know who they may know in that particular field or in that particular city to see if they'll be able to help you out.
Yeah, contacts, getting that foot in the door.
Getting that foot, yeah. And it's all about who you know. I mean, at the end of the day, it really just comes down to who you know. You know, so you have to push that hard, and no one can help you if they don't know what you want. So if you're just going around and it's like, oh, I really want to do this, I want to work in this, and I want to work in that, but you're not verbalizing that to anyone, they can't even make the suggestion of being able to help you. So you have to verbalize that. I tell people, you know, whenever you're talking to people, you know, if you're just randomly, you know, watching a game at a bar, you know, you're just like, man, I really want to get in that field. I want to do that. I want to do what those guys do, putting on a production. The guy sitting next to you may be someone who works in that field. And even if they're not, they may know someone who is, and then they may be able to help you out. But if you don't verbalize it, then no one will ever know whether or not they can even help you get to the goals you want to reach. So you always want to verbalize what it is that you want at all times with whoever you're talking to. You know, just trying to find a way to insert that into the conversation.
And what if they're undecided? We have some students who are like, I don't know what I want to do. What would you say to them?
Do what you love. Before coming to Austin Peay, I was at Western Kentucky for 3.5 years. Not 3.5 years, excuse me, 1.5 years. So before coming to Austin Peay, I was at Western for 1.5 years, and while there, I was a physical therapy major, because at the time, that's what I wanted to do. For those of you who have ever taken human anatomy and physiology, I took that course, and I abruptly changed my major upon leaving that university and coming to Austin Peay. And I had to figure out, at the time, I was undecided. I was like, I don't know what I want to study. I don't know what I want to do. And I was just kind of sitting at home, and I was watching TV, and I was like, well, I love sports. I want to work in sports. And at the time, I wanted to be Stuart Scott. I wanted to be in front of the camera. You know, I wanted to do that. But the program at the time didn't have that. All we had was, you know, the behind-the-scenes aspect of production work. So I was like, well, I'll try this out. And I did it, and I loved it. You know, so if you're undecided about what you want to do, you just got to really go back to that old school of thought that you've probably been told before. Do what you love. You know, and it just so happened to work out for me. And, you know, I think you should, you know, just kind of take that to heart. If you're undecided, just, you know, do what you love. You know, because even if there's not a job that you want right now, or if there's a job that you would like to do but it doesn't exist at the moment, not to say there's nothing that says it can't exist in the future, or that you can create it yourself if you want. You know, it's going to take hard work. It's nothing that you're going to do. You know, nothing that I've said and we've talked about here, you know, has come easy or has been easy. It's going to take hard work, but it's 100% doable.
And that's what I was going to ask you. What do you think about your work ethic? Do you feel like it's helped you probably, and it seems like it has?
Mm-hmm.
And what would you like to share with students who, because, you know, we have some of them who like show up to class late, or they just kind of halfway do their assignments. Talk about how your work ethic is really important.
Oh, you got to put your time in. 100%, you got to put your time in. I'll tell you right now, my time at Austin Peay, when I got involved in the program here, I was working productions. I gave up my Saturdays. There was no college football for me unless it was Austin Peay. During the week, I gave up my weekday nights to do basketball production. And I still had to work full time because I lived on my own and I had bills to pay. So I still had that responsibility, and I still had to go to class, and I never missed a class. I never missed an assignment. You have to be diligent in everything that you do, not just what you want to do, but all of your responsibilities. You have to be 100% diligent, and you got to put that time in. And you're going to sacrifice some things. You're going to sacrifice some parties. You know, you're going to sacrifice some social events, but that's what you got to do to get to where you want to be in the future. You're going to have to give up those things. You know, being on time is critical. If you can't be on time to class, then how can someone trust you to be on time to work? You know, I've heard people give the excuse, well, the job I want, I'm going to like that more than the work than I'm doing in the classroom. So, of course, I'm going to be there on time. Even if you're doing something that you don't necessarily enjoy, that doesn't mean you get to slack off. You need to do the things that you like with the same intensity that you do, or you need to do the things that you don't like with the same intensity that you do the things that you do like. because it's going to show one way or another. I'll work a high school D3 girls volleyball game, and then it's not entertaining that much. Nothing against them.
Okay.
But I'm going to work that with the same intensity, focus, and respect that I would for the women's Olympic national basketball team, for an exhibition game for them, which I've done. I'm gonna treat them all the same. I'm gonna treat Pee Wee football like the Super Bowl, and the Super Bowl like Pee Wee football, because they're one and the same to me. So you have to do that. You have to do that. And like I said, you're gonna sacrifice some things, but you're gonna make up for it in the back end. I'll tell you right now. I mean, if anyone's watching this knows me or has talked to me before, or approaches me, in the future, and they want to ask me, a little bit, more in depth about, what that means, I can give you a little bit more detail into that, because I sacrifice those things, those spring breaks, those parties and those things to go and do my responsibilities that were in front of me at the time. And now I have the job that I want. I'm living in the city that I want, and I can do what I want when I want.
But it's all paying your dues. You got to pay your dues, right?
And you got to pay your dues up front. Mm-hmm. You pay them up front, or you pay them for the rest of your life. So, yeah, go to class on time.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yes. No, what has been your most favorite experience, and it could be work or not work related, in your time in LA?
Oh, my favorite experience. Yeah. Man, I get so caught up with these type of questions.
I know you have so many things
yeah.
there. Yeah.
Yeah, there's just so many different things going on, and just I don't think there's just one experience. I think it's the randomness of it all. Mm-hmm. Both living there and working there. I went to me and a friend. We went to the bar to watch college football one day, and I was just kind of sitting there, and I look over my shoulder and I see, and I was like, "Is that Michael Irvin?" And I'm a huge Cowboys fan, so I'm just sitting there enjoying my meal, watching football, and I look over and I see, the All-Pro Hall of Fame former wide receiver of the Dallas Cowboys, my favorite team, sitting there eating clam chowder, watching his Miami Hurricanes play college football at a local bar. It's just so random. You don't expect those type of things, but they happen all the time. I got a call one day. It's like, "Hey, can you work a volleyball game for us at the Galen Center at USC?" Only thing I only need basic details. What time I need to be there. What's my rate for the day, and where's the location. You really don't ask me more questions than that, because like I said, I'm treating every event the same, so I don't need to know, who's playing, so because whether it's, the women or the men or whatever, that detail doesn't matter to me. I get there and I see everything going on, I see the setup, and it's like Olympic this and Olympic that. And it turned out to be the men's Olympic volleyball team playing a exhibition game against Japan. And I was like, well, this is random, So it's things like that, just kind of like pop in. Or I worked a high school football game a couple weeks ago, and one of the color commentator was a former NFL wide receiver, Greg Camarillo. So he was working that event, and I was like, oh shit, I recognize that guy. So it's just things like that.
It's just you never know who you're going to see.
No, and that's the thing. When you walk out the door and you head to wherever you're going, whether it be a work event or a social event, you just you never know what's going to happen. It's just so random, and it's fun. It's just really, really fun. When I worked at Fox Sports, never know who you're going to see there. One day I get on the elevator, stops on the second floor. Who gets on the elevator? Pete Rose. Hey, I know who you are.
Did you introduce yourself?
Not at all.
No. Just kind of admire from afar.
Yes, I'm not one to approach, individuals and things like that. Except for Michael Irvin, I approach them. But generally, especially at work, because you got to keep, professionalism with what you're doing at work. So you don't want to You don't want to get in anyone's way or make anyone feel uncomfortable. And sometimes even when they're out just being social, I don't want to, you're eating dinner. I don't necessarily want to interrupt you while you're having your meal. I wouldn't want anyone to interrupt me. So I'll show them the same respect. Sometimes I'll just kind of give them a wave or a nod or a tip of the cap, just a small acknowledgement and things of that nature.
Yeah, I can say they're normal people too, right?
To an extent.
To an extent, yes.
Yeah, to an extent.
Well, Christian, I'm out of questions, but we talked about so much stuff. What did you want to talk about that I didn't ask you about?
The importance of taking a chance. Everyone, that's in college, you're putting in a lot of time, a lot of effort, and also a lot of money, whether it be your money, your parents' money. Hopefully it's a Pell Grant. You're putting in a lot of that, and you need to know what you're paying for. You need to know what you're getting out of all of this. And it doesn't come from you're not necessarily going to find that from an area of comfort. You're going to have to take that leap. I just want people to know you're going to have to take that jump to go out there and get what you really want. I mean, it's easy to find something comfortable to settle into, and that you're enjoying. You'll have a nice, and for the most part, happy life. But there is so much more out there. But you're not going to get it without taking a leap of faith. You got to run and you got to jump. I left after grad school. After that following summer, I left in the fall in August, and I packed up my car with whatever could fit in it, only the things I needed, and no job. I didn't have anywhere to stay at the time. I put some things out there, some fillers. Was trying to figure out some things, but ultimately, if nothing worked out, I was willing to sleep in my car, Airbnb, live in a hostel, whatever it took. And just to go out there and get what I wanted. That was part of me taking that leap. And it didn't come easy. I mean, when I first got there, I was filling out job applications everywhere. PetSmart, Home Depot, Lowe's, Target, Best Buy. Nobody would hire me. Nobody would hire me. Not even for the simplest job. But luckily I got a temp job, and I was able to hold me over until I got a call to go work at Fox Sports. But you just got to take that leap, and it's gonna be difficult at first. It's gonna be hard. I was talking to someone before I came out here who also took that leap, and she was telling me her story. She came out here and she was working odd temp jobs and production jobs. Being a PA, not making that much, and she said she didn't know how many times she looked at her account and it said 0. It's gonna happen. But now she works full time in production, doing what she wants to do, and things are going better. But there's gonna be the struggle. But there's a beauty that goes into the struggle as well. And when you go through that struggle, you're gonna appreciate everything that you have that much more. So I'm gonna tell everyone, just take that leap. You just gotta jump. You gotta go for it. You gotta get out there, and it's gonna be absolutely terrifying. But then if you do it right and you take your time, because it's not going to happen quick. Don't put a time limit on it. Don't say, I'm going to give this 2 months, 6 months, at least a year. And sometimes you got to give it more than that. But then when it comes, you feel great. You'll feel great. You'll feel free. You'll feel as free as a bird. I promise you. I promise you. After you take that leap and you plummet, for that first little bit, but then you're able to just open up and then just start to just fly. And you're no longer falling. You're flying and you're controlling your own destiny. You're gonna be free as a bird.
Did you ever expect when you were driving in that car with just your few things that we'd be talking about it now? What has happened to you?
Yeah.
You knew it was gonna happen?
I knew what I wanted. I knew what I was gonna get, and there wasn't anything that was gonna stop me. So there was never any doubt for me. I just had to get out there and do it. Because I know who I am. I know my work ethic. I know my ability to work with others. I know even if I don't know something, I know that I can learn it, and I'm going to learn it. So it was never a question of me being where I am today, as much as it was a question of how long it may take me to get there. And it came a little bit faster than I expected, almost. But I knew it was going to happen because I was going to make it happen. And I'm very happy to be here. I'm very happy to be sharing the story and my experiences and to help out anybody that I can. Because you all owe it to yourself to take that chance and to take that risk now while you're young and you don't have anything holding you down. You don't have anything holding you back. you know, because my whole thing was I'm going to go out there and I'm going to give it everything I got. And if I fall down and I fail, no one else is going to suffer from that but me. And I can take that. I can take me falling down because I know I'm going to get back up. You know, so I'm going to do it now. Where if I had a family and things, it's going to be a little bit more difficult. So yeah, there was never a question of where I was going to be. And I'm still not where I want to be. You know, I'm in a good place, but, you know, we still got some jumps to make.
So where are we going to be in 10 years?
Oh,
10 years?
10 years. I can't project 10 years.
You can't project, okay.
I can't project it that far. But I'll look into the possibility of you know, working overseas and doing some more work, you know, continuing in production. But right now my main task is mastering what I do now, which is replay. When I moved to California, I was competent on one replay system, which was New Text 3Play. Here this year, starting, you know, beginning of the year, I set some goals for myself, one of which was to learn more replay systems. I'm now certified on 2 other systems, one being EVS, another being EVS Dreamcatcher, and I'm also proficient through hours of work on another replay system, which is Mirror's Abacus. So I came out there with knowledge of one, and I now possess working knowledge and certification on 2 and a total of 4 replay systems under my belt that I can competently work for any production for any company.
And I'm sure you're going to just keep learning because we're always learning, right? Always.
Oh yeah, you never stop learning. You know, in anything in life and work, you're always learning. You know, and listen to the people that are around you. When you get on a production work, you should listen to everyone you're working with, because chances are they've been doing it a lot longer than you, and they can pass on so much knowledge and information. So much. I love it when I do a travel game and I gotta like fly into Spokane, Washington, and make a 2-hour drive over to Idaho to work a football game, and it's me and my producer in the car. You know, never had a 5-minute conversation with this person before, and now it's 2 hours with us 2 alone. You know, we're gonna talk work, and he's gonna tell me about his experiences and what he's learned, and I'm gonna listen to everything he has to say. You know, and I'm gonna take it all to heart. So yeah, you never stop learning, never.
So to recap, you never stop learning, so always keep learning. Take risks.
Yes.
Work hard.
Yes.
Be on time. What else? What else should we tell the prospective broadcasters out there?
Take advantage of the resources in front of you. I mean, that's probably the most important. Everything that you have in front of you here at this university, with all the equipment, once you graduate, you're not going to be able to walk into a studio and let me go play with this audio, this audio system. Let me go play with this switcher. Let me go play with this replay machine. That doesn't exist anymore. Once you cross that stage, you don't get to just go into a studio and play with their equipment. Because next time you walk into a studio, they expect you to be proficient on that equipment. So you need to log your hours right now. You have to do that work right now. And you have to take advantage of the resources around you. Because they were put here for a reason. They were put here for you, the students. And you got to use them. Because you're not going to have the opportunity to use them after you graduate. And if you don't use them now, you're not being smart with your time. You're not.
Right. And thank you for being a resource and a source of pride for us.
Thank you.
Thank you, Christian. And I'm Micah Terrell with 91.9 Public Affairs and Govs TV.